Hello and welcome to Wife's a Bitch with Madison Maloy.
Yay! I'm so excited to be here. You have like champagne and strawberries here. I'm like, do you want to interview me or fuck me? I'm not sure what's happening here. Hopefully it's both.
Straight, Madison, I promise you'd be on the list.
Oh, perfect.
And I say list because I have a long list of people.
Should we start
things
there?
don't work out
Yeah.
with my husband, but I think we're good. We finally gelled it. We finally made it work after 20 years was the mark where we were like done, and now we're back. And the best last 5 years of my relationship with him, even including the dating era, like the dating stage, this is better.
Wow.
Because it's not unknown. Now it's like gelled. We know where we are. We're stuck. We know it.
Yeah.
We have to work at it. And by work at it, I mean work on ourselves.
Yeah.
That's the work.
I have a lot to learn from you.
You don't work on someone else. You work on yourself.
Yeah.
You wrote a book. Lighten the fuck up.
Oh, I know. And here's the thing is like all areas of my life, I feel like I've kind of, figured out and I have a healthy mindset and a right mindset. But the relationship area, which is where you come in, is the area where I still need help. But I'm also like learning so much. Like I kept attracting emotionally unavailable men. And now I'm asking the important questions ahead of time and not falling for the let's just go to dinner and see, like, because then they always want to hang out with me. Right. And then that leads, and then they're not ready. So it's like, how long have you been divorced? I'm at that age where I get, the baggage,
right.
I'm this like second wife type shit.
You feel like you're the second wife, you could be a cougar.
I could be a cougar. Maybe that's where I need to go.
Maybe you haven't been looking in the right.
I need some young, non-Viagra, non-balding dick.
Maybe you're in the wrong pool.
I don't know. But we'll see. Now I'm asking the questions like, how long are you divorced? If you met the right person, would you get married again? If it's not over 2 years and it's not yes, well, I'm not going to go to dinner with you.
I say
I don't need a free meal. I'm watching my figure.
I say it's a numbers game. Well, it's a free drink. I say it's a numbers game. Go out as much as possible. Never go exclusive until you actually are completely serious with someone. Like, and I really mean, like, do not. That's my relationship advice to everyone. Because
that's a good idea.
I was out there when my husband and I separated, so like I know what it's like to, even date now. You know how people are married for so long they don't know how to date?
Right.
Well, I got back in the ring when there was dating websites and dating, like dating in the Wi-Fi age.
Yeah.
So I had both ways of dating. You know what I mean? So like I had the free Wi-Fi and then the post Wi-Fi. So I could say from experience, you really are out there and there's a lot of options for guys and women. Like, there's so many options out there.
I think that's a problem, though. I think that dating wasn't meant to be like this. Yeah. And now there's too many options and nobody can make a decision. And then people, instead of working on things, are like, oh, I'll just go swipe for the next thing. I just like feel like we are bombarded by society by so much false, crazy bullshit information, especially with TikTok. And I love TikTok and I love social media. It has its benefits, but it has
even drugs. Yeah. I mean, there's a prescription for things, and you just abuse it. You abuse it,
right? But it's like so much like bad advice out there that I'm just at a point where I'm like, you know what? I've got a great family. I've got great friends. Like, here's my dating advice to myself. I'm just going to be me, and the person that God has sent to me is there's not going to be games. If I have to play games with you, if I have to wait to respond to you, you're probably not my person. If I can't tell you I like you right away. And I get that there's a game and there's attraction, but I just feel like maybe that's where we got it wrong. That's just my interpretation, but I'm at a point now where I'm like, I'm fucking done. I'm just like, if it happens, it'll be by God's account. And I'm not going to stress about it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just like,
it's a great place to be.
Yeah. I'm at this point where I'm like, God will send me the one and there'll be no questions. There'll be no delays. There'll be no games. There'll just be the right one. Yeah. Maybe I have a theory that the divorce rate is so freaking high because people do play these manipulative games. And
you mean after they're married?
Well, no, like before they get married, the divorce rate, and it's actually not the person they're meant to be with. So
I
that's
think a lot
why
of
the
people don't want to
divorce.
work at the marriage. It does take a lot of work.
Well, once you're married, that's a whole other thing. It's
That's
like
another whole game.
you
That
need,
people,
yeah.
they deny it and they're like, oh, I'm done with the games. I want to get married. The game begins. It's a different game. I know. You're never stopping the struggle. The game
I gotta get to
begins when you
church.
get married. The game begins when you get married
I'm just
because
trying to
people
get
get too
engaged.
complacent.
I've never even been engaged. I meet girls that I'm friends with that are so funny, and they're like, "I've been married 4 times." I'm like, "What? I can't even get engaged to one guy."
I
But
don't think you can't get engaged. I think you could get engaged to
I don't
almost
want to settle.
anyone.
If I
Different.
waited this freaking long,
Different, but that doesn't mean you couldn't get engaged. I mean, I'll get you a guy right now that'll propose to you in 2 seconds.
yeah, he'll probably be a stand-up comedian.
Exactly. I didn't say you couldn't get
Don't shit where
engaged.
you
It's
eat.
just who are you getting engaged to?
Yes.
It's not hard to get engaged. I think the hard part is staying married
Yeah. Well, I have a theory that like
or finding the right one. But what is the right one? You know, who are you compatible with? Listen, I didn't live with my husband before we got married. So that's a big gamble. I didn't have sex before I got married. Huge gamble on
wait,
his part.
what?
Yeah, I was a virgin on my wedding night. 30 years old. Ding.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to be a born again virgin. I mean, I'm tight enough. You would think I am. TMI. But no, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I have a lot of male friends
Yeah.
that are divorced
hmm
or people that I've dated.
Yeah.
And I will ask them this question. When did you know you wanted to marry your ex-wife?
Right.
And I have gotten,
When she had a gun to his head.
no, I've gotten like, we were dating a year and a half and it just seemed like the right thing to do.
Right.
She was really good looking and I knew my children would be good looking.
Okay.
Just I was ready. Timing. Not one guy, which is why they're all divorced. I've come to this theory. And I told my bachelor friend this, who's 51, never been married and worth shit tons of money. I told him this story and I said, the one thing I never heard
What?
was I knew I just couldn't live without her. And that
Yes,
was
that's
that
what my husband said.
thought where I
Yeah.
said, if a guy says to me, I can't live without you,
Yeah.
then that's the one.
Right.
Don't take any hints, stalkers. They'll be like,
Any doctors out there? Anyway.
stalkers.
No,
Stalkers meaning like,
I said
oh,
doctors though.
yeah.
But that's what my husband said to his grandmother. She passed, but he said the exact same thing. I can't live without her. Well, he could. My husband just got back from Mount Everest. The man
Right.
could do a lot of things
Yeah.
without me. No question about it. But in his mind, spiritually speaking, I think it was a spiritual feeling. You know what I mean? It's not like he can't function without me. Of course he can. He can do everything.
But it's
In
like
fact,
this other half.
I can't do a lot of stuff without him because he takes care of everything, bills, everything. Like I'd be lost. I'm like, I need to die first because I would not know what to do.
Yeah.
I
But
am lost.
you guys are like a team. Like it's important to know how to do those things should something tragic happen. But you
I
guys
think
are
I
like
need him more than
the
he needs
ultimate
me.
team. But like I think that's good to need each other in a healthy way.
Okay,
to
so
balance each other.
that's where my marriage went south when I was knee deep.
And I
You
love
add that
talking to you
why.
because you had like the down and
Yeah,
then you
yeah.
rebounded
That's why
and
I have
made it.
this. That's why I'm doing this podcast because I want to help people out there with relationships. I was knee deep. I want to get rid of that why. You know how they say sometimes why? Get rid of it completely. You don't never need to be needy. You could be vulnerable and you could be feminine and have him think that he's the boss and the master of the house. But needy is another level of turn off.
Okay, so how do you express your needs without being needy? Like, hey, I want you to check in with me. When you go away, I'd like you to at least text me and say
a man
hi.
knows where you live and he has your number.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the chaser. They pursue. That's the best way to have a relationship.
Absolutely.
So you can't be needy in any way. I know it sounds horrible, but they know where you are. They know how to contact you and they will find you when they want you. And when there are too many options, men freeze. They can't decide. If they have more than 2 items on a counter, I used to work at a jewelry store. If they have more than 2 items on a counter, they can't decide if there's a third one. They're like, they'd rather not get anything. So men can't decide like that. So there's that option. And also men pursue women. That's the way it is. especially if they're
Yeah.
alpha males. And I know you're attracted to an alpha male because you
Oh,
want a
for
male
sure.
male. I know, I am too. They're hard to
But
live with, fun to date.
I just feel like
Fun to
sometimes
date.
there's so much noise in the atmosphere that it's like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? And now I've just surrendered completely. Like
Surrendering is great.
you and I have talked offline. Like
Yeah.
I had something where I was like, this guy's the one. And I was very heartbroken. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, you know what? It just wasn't meant to be. And if it is, it'll come back around. And I don't need to spend an ounce of energy worrying about it, thinking about it, nothing. I just have to put myself out there and just
Impress
be
yourself.
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, that's my
That's
only,
how I got my husband back.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we were on the brink twice. We were getting divorced twice. He handed me papers. It was done. It's done deal.
That's
He moved
insane.
out.
I love
He
that.
moved out.
That you guys
So
made
I
it.
wrote this book after we got back together during the pandemic. I knew people were not happy during the pandemic, and I thought it was a really good time to get this out there. It's called Impress
I love
Yourself.
it.
And on the bottom of that, the caption, well, the caption says, "Stop waiting for approval from others when you're the one you live with 24/7." There's nobody that you're with more than yourself.
I know. And I think so
So
many of
that's what you
us
have to make happy
are people
first,
pleasers and we
but
fall
not
into that
happy in a
trap.
delusional way. This is what I write about in the book.
Okay.
People are delusional. First of all, you don't love everything about somebody else unless you're obsessed. That's not love. You don't
Yeah.
love anything. You don't love everything about somebody. That's impossible. So why would you love everything about yourself? Don't be delusional. Like love yourself in every way. No, not in every way. You can't.
You could work on things
No,
because you're always a
yes,
work
you
in
can work on things,
progress.
and if they really bother you, work on those things and or accept. I'm very big into acceptance now. I wasn't an acceptor before. I used to be very scrappy and like, no, I'm going to pull through and no, accept things that you cannot control. Accept that is such a really good step in the I know in the
That's
12
what I
steps.
did
I don't
with
do
my
12
last thing. I
steps,
just
but I
accepted it.
know that it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, if you
Yeah.
follow 12 steps. Uh, my husband's sober for like since he's 15 or 16 and he's 48 now.
When did he start drinking? 12?
Exactly.
Oh my
Yeah, he was a
gosh.
young one. He was a young one.
And
Yeah.
he knew at 15 to stop drinking.
Well, his mother got him straight and sober. Like she was like,
But
"You're
like,
the
I'm
yeah
shocked that in
yeah." She
college
like
and
no, she's like, "You're not coming back for 90 days unless you go to a meeting every night." And he had sponsors and everything, and then he sponsored people. He's a dry drunk sometimes, not gonna lie, but he likes when I drink. And he's like, "Could you have a drink and
right.
chill?" No, but he's fine with it now. Like he does not go near a drink, even under our kupa they call it in a wedding at the altar. He did not have wine or grape juice. He won't touch it.
Wow. And that's probably why he can do what he can do at his
Right,
age, like
right. So
climbing Mount Everest. My
right,
God.
yeah. And after rehab, he was smoking cigarettes, and then he realized he's a runner. You know, he's fifth American in the New York City Marathon. This guy was,
What? What was he?
yeah,
Fifth?
yeah, American. He comes right after the Africans.
Are you
He's always in the New York
serious?
Times. You know, when you look at the New York Times top 100 runners, he's like number 50 something. Anyway, out of
Oh my
48,000 people or
gosh.
50,000 people. So yeah, he's pretty strong. He's done ultra
That's
marathons,
insane.
but it wasn't enough. He had to top it with Mount
Is
Everest,
his
which he
stamina
almost died.
as good in the bedroom
I
as
almost
it is in the track?
I don't kiss and tell. Um, everything's fine. But I have to say, he went to Mount Everest and he almost died on Mount Everest. He came back with a real humility, but then he's
Yeah.
also a little bit more tough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I stub my toe now, he's like, "Oh, I did Everest.
Yeah.
Stop
Get over it.
crying.
Oh
There's
my
no
gosh.
crying. You know, you can't, like now I have to endure that shit." But
Yeah.
it was a very tough time for me. I just realized that the air conditioning thing is on and that might be a problem with noise.
We're going
So,
to take a quick break
uh,
and pause the AC. We'll
I
be
have,
right back.
I have no, hey, and we're back.
Yay. Okay, so we had the AC. It is like hot, so I'm glad that I don't really get that hot, but it's like nice and cool in here.
It's still,
Oh, I
now
think
the
we're
other
good.
AC is on.
You know
That's
what?
fine.
I think we're good. I think people know it's summer in New York City, and I'm so excited for summer. And I'm footloose and fancy free. And whatever happens will happen. And if the other person's meant to be, he'll come back. And if not, I'm gonna find somebody even better. And that's what I always say with manifesting. Like you always have to say when you ask for something, whether it's a job, a relationship, an amount of money, a trip, house, it's always end it with this or something better. Because sometimes God actually knows better what you want than you do.
100%.
So
100%
you
that's
have to
true.
say
In
this or
fact, I
something
never ever
better.
asked for anything specific. In fact, when my husband and I, even though I loved him, wanted to break it off, I said, if he's meant for me, let him be for me. If he's not, let him go.
Yeah.
And I had to really, that's a mind fuck, to say that to yourself after you love someone, because it's very hard to not ask for something specific. Because as a
No, I
human,
know.
we're just so fragile that we always think in the comfort zone. We're like, oh, please give me what I'm familiar with. But no, don't ask for that. Just ask for something that, ask for pure joy. I always say that. God, you know what I want, what makes me happy. Um, and pure joy is like the same feeling I get when my kids are satisfied with something, when they're laughing, when I'm making people laugh on stage. That's pure joy to me.
Yeah.
Like that to me, or I wrote a great joke
Yeah.
that's undeniably funny. That to me is pure joy. And if I could have more of those moments, that's what I wish for. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't really wish for anything crazy. I just don't wish for anything that's out of my reach. I just say, God, you know what I want. You know what makes me have pure joy? Give me more of that feeling. Because isn't it really everything a feeling in the end?
Yeah.
How does a guy make you feel? You want that. How does this make you feel? How do you feel when you accomplish something? That's the feeling you want. So it
Right.
doesn't matter where you get it from or what source.
Yeah.
You just want that feeling.
Just want to well, I've actually heard that like it's the best to when you're manifesting instead of manifesting the thing to manifest the feeling that it would bring you. That's like a quicker because you put the law of attraction and vibration
Right,
together.
right,
So it's like, how would that having that dream house feel?
right,
How would having that
right,
dream relationship
right.
feel?
And some things are temporarily feeling good. And I have to say, remember I said to you about prayer and like manifesting things during a certain time, like listen to a symphony. In Judaism,
Yes.
in Judaism, this is something I've noticed that I was keen on. I don't know where this came from. I think I was running in the park, and when I run, I get all these really good ideas because my oxygen's flowing to my brain. Um, when you have a symphony, like in Judaism, and I'm Jewish, they have minions, which is called like this, like 12 people get together, and the prayer is much stronger when more people get together. So when you have a minion or a group of people and they're doing synchronized things like a symphony or,
Yeah.
something where people are collectively singing or they're in a band, don't you feel that vibration is so strong when you're
Yeah.
at a symphony? Let's say you're at Lincoln Center and you're listening to that. There's a vibration that goes right through you, and I feel like gets lifted higher. So at that time, the vibration's high. That's when you start to really ask for what you want. If
I
that makes
like that.
sense.
So I should almost
I
like
don't know
listen
if
to
it's
like a
true.
symphony or
Yeah, and
something.
also in water. Like when I lived in Hawaii, I would manifest or pray in water, because it's teeming with life, like the ocean.
Right.
Not like a pool with chlorine.
Right. Right.
Something like with the ocean.
Natural.
Natural, like the negative ions are in there with the foam,
And you're
the ocean
grounded
foam.
because your
You're
bare feet are on
grounded.
the.
Yeah. And it's just like
Yeah.
there's a spirituality in water, especially in like living water, that moves
Yeah.
and not like stagnant. And it's just not like a puddle, but something really that's teeming with life with fish and everything. I feel like there's a big connection to the spiritual uh, vibration. And there's a lot of, I know this sounds frou frou and woo woo, but it really does help me to connect with a higher power,
I
with
like
my
that.
creator. I definitely feel that.
Yeah. Or do lakes count too?
What?
Lakes
Lakes?
count
Yeah.
too? Okay, good.
Yeah.
I spend
Lakes.
more time in lakes, I feel like,
Yeah,
than
because I feel like lakes are, that's coming down from something that's, very
well, it's
alive.
natural.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely
yeah.
natural.
Avoid the man-made lakes. Those are teeming with
Yeah,
bacteria,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? Don't eat the fish out of those.
yeah.
I know. But yeah, no, that it's good because yeah, manifesting is I actually like had somebody who was saying these are the top 4 books. I can't remember all of them, but the top 4 books you need to read. And I was familiar with, one of them was Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And then another one, these other two, maybe it was The Four Agreements, which is a good book. And then one of them was it's called The Last Law of Attraction Book You'll Ever Need.
Oh, wow.
And I said, oh. I got Audible credits. I'm going to get this. So I've been listening to that. But I like the way the guy just like is punchy. He just like gets to the point.
Mm.
So, I mean, I'm only on chapter 2. But I feel like that's something that like, okay, I could keep listening and listening. Because even though I work in this space, sometimes it's easier to tell people what to do than do it yourself. And I've been good about doing it myself, which like led to the book. But then all of a sudden you start teaching and coaching others and you're like, wait a second, I'm forgetting about. So you have to like take that back. But it really is truly believing that it's yours. And so I always tell people like, this is how you tap into the law of vibration when you're trying to manifest something. Like if I called you and said, hey, I've got tickets to Taylor Swift. Do you want to go? You would, if you liked Taylor Swift, you'd be like, yeah, oh my God. And you would be excited, but you have no proof. I didn't show you the tickets. I just called you and said, do you want to go to this
So the yarn
concert?
system?
So you trust, well, it's not even that. You trusted me and you believe it. And you had that feeling of like, fuck yeah, I get to go to the Taylor Swift concert for
And you
free.
have something to
This
look
is
forward
amazing.
to.
But that's the feeling.
Right.
You had no proof
That's
that it
right.
was there.
That's right. That's why when people
Or
say,
Super Bowl or something.
why
Let's
is
do better.
Why is Bitcoin so big? It's like just energy. Well, do you know what
So
energy
is
is?
money. Money is just
So is a text
energy.
that you get from
Dollars,
somebody. Isn't that energy?
it is. And our
And how
thoughts,
devastating could a text be and how amazing could a text be?
I'm living it right now.
Okay, so then you're really going just by energy.
Well, and money's
Everyone's
energy
energy.
too.
Everything is energy. In fact, I think Bitcoin, and you're a believer, I'm a believer in Bitcoin. It's the future. I believe that Bitcoin is going to soar, and there's no banks involved, and there's no, it's just there's only
They
21
can't screw
million.
it up with inflation and
Yeah, and
print more.
21
And
million cap.
I mean, they've really
That
screwed up
means each
this.
coin is going to be like a Picasso, if you
I
want
know.
it. Do you understand? Like that's insane.
But like people are going to have to obviously spend it
What an
at some
invention! Or you
point.
could borrow against it
Right. Yeah, that's
because
true.
it's collateral.
Are we talking about Bitcoin or are we talking about being a wife? I'm like, woo, we are going right off tangent. But basically, what she's saying to me is find a husband who's got a lot of Bitcoin.
You could do that, or or find a husband that has money and then you put it in Bitcoin. And then you
Exactly.
have the passwords.
This is true.
That's even better.
Yeah, totally. It's totally,
Yeah.
totally true. But I would say as a single woman who's been heartbroken a lot, I have learned and I'm so self-aware of all my mistakes
Oh, really?
that I've made.
That's amazing.
Oh my God, completely. Like
That's probably why you're not. That's probably why you weren't married yet.
right. So I had a narrative, subconscious narrative that I didn't realize was running the show of like these never last. They always leave.
Oh, really?
I'm not good enough because I'm not famous or rich or whatever false narrative I had in my head at the time.
Hmm.
Um, I had an underlying fear of rejection, even though I didn't come off that way. It's the energy you feel. So when you have an underlying fear of rejection, you don't have the capacity to have vulnerable conversations to authentically connect to somebody. So that's why it's important to have the tough questions first before you get attached to somebody, especially before you sleep with them.
So interview.
Like an interview, but not like an interview, like just fun, like, hey, like, what are you looking for? What is a healthy relationship? These things
And
are
body language is a lost
yeah,
art.
on a
People
first or
need to get
second.
together.
Yeah.
It just can't just be texting and phone
No,
calls.
but like a first or second date, this is good because you're not attached to this person. You don't care. You're interviewing them for your life. You're the CEO of your life. And you have those. If you wait too long or after you've been intimate, women get attached after intimacy. We're just designed that way. God did it. Like you are gonna this is why there's so many situationships.
Right.
Because people fall into this thing and they're like,
I mean,
oh, if
look,
I fuck them, I'll get
I was
them.
a virgin when I got married,
But
so
that was good because you
yeah.
didn't. So all these situationships, these people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared to ask for a relationship, hence the situationship. I'm scared to see what we are because their feelings are that before they had a conversation. And usually when they do end up having that conversation, most of these situationships end.
Oh,
You wouldn't be in a situationship. And sometimes you can by default fall into one. I kind of did most recently.
okay.
But if you are like,
But
hey,
you didn't know that.
what do you know? But it's like, what are you looking for in a relationship? What are you that? And it's easy also to fall into a relationship when you don't think you want one.
Hmm.
But you should still be having the questions like, I don't know if I like this person. So I'm just going to go and have fun. This is what's happening to, that's what's happened to me. I'm just going to go have fun. And then all of a sudden you start, oh, let's travel, let's have fun. And then it was like, you fall for this person. And then you're like, oh shit, we've never had are you going to get married again? Or what do you think is a healthy relationship? What's your communication style? And I'm like, whether I like a guy or not, like I'm going to ask these questions because then I don't have to fear the rejection. And sometimes like I'll just walk away because I'm like, well, I don't think this will work, or I'm not strong enough to face it.
I told my husband on the
And
first
that's
date.
something I'm working on like
I
a
told
lot.
my husband on the first date, and he was only 21 that week, and I didn't even know how old he was. But I
Is
told
he
him
older?
he's younger,
Younger?
7 years younger.
Oh, okay,
But he
gotcha.
acts like he's older. I told him on our first date. He said, "What's the difference how old I am?" I said, "What's the difference? I want to get married." He goes,
Yeah.
"I don't want to get married." I said, "Well, I want to get married." And I started walking away. He pulled my arm. He
This
goes,
was the
"Oh,
first date?
first date."
That's good.
And I
I
even
think
said,
it's
"I hope
good
you
to
like the
say that,
name
like,
Sam."
is your intention to eventually like is your intention with dating to meet somebody and get married, or is it just to kind of like see what's out there and figure it
So
out?
he was letting me go. But I said, "I hope you like the name Sam because that's the firstborn of my son. That's the first
Oh my
son that
God,
I
that's
because
hilarious.
my father's name was Sam and he died." So he says, "Yeah, I like the name Sam." But anyway, it was a little too fast. But I said, "Listen, I have a plan." He goes, "You know what? Maybe I'm not for you because there's somebody waiting to marry you and I don't want to be in front of him."
Yeah.
And he was very honest about it. And I said,
That's
"Oh, please. You're playing hard to get with me? It doesn't matter. I'm not attached to you." And he goes, "No, I really believe that I'm taking up some space that somebody else needs to have you. And I'm not going to." And then he kept calling and calling and calling the next day.
I've heard of this theory where somebody will be like, try this out on people. I'm going to try it out on people I don't like because I don't want to try it out on people I do. But it's like, you just be like, if they're like, oh, I'm not looking, I don't know if I'm going to get married again, be like, oh, thank God. Because I
Right.
mean, I want to get married, but I don't think I want to marry you.
Oh,
Such a form of manipulation, but
that's
I
nice.
kind of like it.
Well, my mother is married twice. Today's actually her 33rd anniversary to her second husband. My father died.
Wow.
And
Okay.
then after he died, she met somebody, and 2 years later, she got married.
Oh.
I think she didn't sleep with him until she got married, which was crazy because she had 5 kids.
Do
So
you
she
think
was
that would
really not a
do
virgin.
you think that would work in today's dating climate?
I
Be
don't know.
honest.
I don't know.
Should
And
I
my
try?
husband didn't care.
I'm gonna do 3 months at least. 3
Yeah, no,
months
you should
celibacy
wait.
because
You should
it'll be like,
definitely
I
wait.
wanna make sure that this is real.
Yes, that you should do.
I'm also pumped with fucking testosterone, so I'm so horny. But I still don't sleep with men
Take
unless
care of
I'm
yourself.
dating.
Take
Oh,
care of
don't worry.
yourself.
There's a whole
Okay, so then don't worry about the
drawer
guy.
full
The
of
guy doesn't need the guy doesn't need that. But anyway,
China loves
you don't
me.
need a guy like to do that. So forget that part. But besides that, and you're not a man, so don't worry about that. Like you don't have to have a man. They
No,
have to have a woman more than you need a man. So you could
true.
hold off. It's always a woman's, you know,
It's like as
thing
much
to
as I like
say
you, I
no. You
can't
know
do
what I mean? A
this.
woman really needs to have the control in the whole. I'm not doing this because a man will give in 10 seconds. A woman, you're strong enough to say no. So that's good. But where was I going with this? I forgot where I was going because I drank a whole
Because
glass of wine.
you were talking about your mother
Oh, yeah,
celebrating her,
yeah,
and she
yeah.
was a
So
virgin, but
my
she had 5
mother,
kids.
well, yeah, she was
Or
a
she
virgin.
waited till
She
marriage, but
waited
yeah.
until marriage, but
Yeah.
also she told him honestly, he's much older than she is. He's about 22 years older than her, and she
Oh
said,
God, is he
yeah,
almost dead?
he's 98 and she's 70.
Wow.
She's 75. But she
Wow.
said
Is he in good health?
yeah, he is.
Okay,
He's
good.
really he's doing
Oh,
doing really well.
amazing.
So
Love to
he
hear
said
that.
to her he wasn't looking to get married again because he had a bad divorce. And my mother said, "Well, I am." Like right outright. And he's like, "Oh, usually women usually say, I don't want to get married. I don't want to get married." And then all of a sudden it's
Bullshit.
scratching down his door. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, you got to really, really be honest with them. And I cards
Your
out right
mom,
away.
your mother was
Cards out right
herself,
away.
and that's why it worked out. She
Yeah.
didn't lie to try to
Right. 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 And
She
he
was
respected it.
authentically yourself.
And he respected it. And he could have walked.
Huh?
But I'll tell you, she's a pretty lady, and I think she kept him alive all these years.
Oh my God, she definitely did. How lucky is he?
Very. Want to see a picture?
Yeah, he's so lucky
You can see
because
a picture too if you buy my book.
yeah, he's so lucky because most people like at that age, first of all, aren't alive. Second of all, they're mostly in homes.
Right.
But he's got a young, vibrant, loving wife that keeps you healthy and positive. He's got a reason to live.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think so.
I tell everybody, I don't care if you're 25. If you don't have a reason to live, you're not going to live very long.
Tell me I don't have a picture of him. Oh, here.
I was like, oh, he looks like Kevin no, Kevin O'Leary.
That's her father. That's the same age. But anyway, that's my mother.
Oh my gosh, she's gorgeous.
Thank you.
They are gorgeous.
Yeah.
No wonder you look so good.
That's thank you.
You got those good genes.
I got the jeans. Anyway,
I hope I can
look
eat
at
on your
her.
podcast.
She looks amazing. Yeah, it doesn't.
My mom's beautiful too. She's great. My mom, I'm more like my dad though. It's so funny. My dad and I, like if you meet my dad, we have like
Yeah.
the same personality. And I look more like him, even though people are like, oh, you look like your mom. I literally
Because you're
look
a
like
female, so people automatically
if somebody
say
put
that.
like AI generated picture of those
Oh,
two together,
really?
it would come out as
Really?
me.
So you got the best of both.
Yeah, my brother like looks more like he's not like the exact, but if you look at me, it's like holy crap, like that's her dad and that's her mom. Like there's no
Wow. So it's just
question.
you and your brother.
Yeah,
So
he's happily married, living the life. My two nieces that I love.
what do you do for a living?
So I'm an author. I have a podcast. I coach people like mindset coaching. I create reality TV concepts. Hopefully you'll see them soon. And anything else that really kind of like generates money. Obviously I do comedy, but I don't really like the lifestyle as much. So I'm navigating more towards public speaking because I feel like I have a bigger message.
Yeah, I met you
To
in the
deliver.
comedy world and you were on one of my shows.
Yeah.
And you're really funny.
Oh, well,
So,
thank you. I
you
know
know, I
everyone's
think
like,
it's
don't
good to have
quit.
a
I'm like,
talk.
no, I'm going to do speaking and then I'll throw some
Speaking
jokes
with
in it.
fun. Yeah, with comedy. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
I never liked a speech unless somebody made me laugh in that speech, like a graduation speech or any type of TED talk. If they didn't make me laugh, I wouldn't really pay attention.
Right, exactly. So it's just like how to weave those jokes in. And I'm telling you, when I
It's a good foundation.
but
It's a
because I
big
did
deal.
comedy for so
Yeah,
long,
it's a good foundation.
I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is gonna be a walk in the park. My first public speaking.
No.
Holy shit, because
Really?
I think it when you're not used to it, from a comedian to a public speaker is one of the hardest jumps you will make. And the reason being,
Really?
yes,
Huh. And I want to do a TED talk.
we
That's
are not
interesting.
used to the silence.
Oh.
The silence is needed for public speaking. When we hear silence, we are programmed, we are conditioned that we are failing. And so you automatically want to jump into something to
Oh,
get the laugh
that's
that gives you the
interesting.
validation like, okay, I'm not failing.
Oh,
Because you, in public speaking, you have no validation if it's going well
they're not
or not.
clapping and they're not laughing.
Comedy, you do. You have instant validation if you're doing well. You don't have to ask somebody how you did
Or
it
if
when
you're
you got
not
off
doing
stage.
well, or you're not.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you have the feedback right away and you don't know
Public
what.
speaking,
Yeah, there's none of that. Wow.
you are on. So I'm trying to embrace the silence. And like when I'll do shows that aren't paid and I'm like, I can try a bunch of stuff. When people don't laugh, I'm like, great, you guys are just helping me more for my public speaking career. I need the silence. Don't you dare laugh. I need it, you know?
That's
And
funny
it's
that you
always
say that because I was asked to speak at Al Martin's funeral and I didn't have
and
anything
you did great.
prepared.
I was there.
Oh, thank you. That's right. You were there. I did not have anything planned. I broke out with a joke in the beginning because I was overwhelmed with this emotion. He
Yeah.
was a good friend of mine. I would talk to him all the time on the phone. And I got up there and I said, Al, I asked you for stage time, but I didn't mean this. And that
And that was a
was
great
a good
joke.
icebreaker.
It
It's a good
was.
icebreaker. But then I was all of a sudden emotional because I saw a coffin to my left and I saw people in the crowd that were like grieving. And I was like, whoa, is this really reality? It was very surreal. And then for some reason, whatever came out of me was just really from the heart. It was just a few minutes of speaking and there's no laughter, after that. And then I decided to make a little joke after that and say, you'd be proud of me. I brought a few people. So it was a bringer.
That's funny. I thought those were
Because
great
he started
jokes.
those
I laughed and
bringer
I
shows.
thought it
I
was
think
good.
every funeral should have comedy.
Well,
I have a joke about
yeah.
how I just got back from a funeral and they don't like it when you tell stand up. I found that out the hard way. You know what I mean? Like there was a joke I made about being at a funeral. And I
Yeah.
go on and on about it. I'm like, they also don't like it when you flirt with the widower. But anyway,
Yeah, right? Oh my
she's
God.
gone. She's gone. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Anyway, she was deaf. Even if she heard me, even if she was here, she heard me. She wouldn't even hear me because
Oh
she was
my
deaf.
gosh.
She wasn't even fully deaf. She was halfway deaf, but you still have that handicap sticker in the car. You can't do that. And so now
That's
I'm
freaking
going
funny. I love that
with
bit.
this joke about, huh?
That's funny. I like
So I
that.
just kept going on and on about this funeral that I went to. But I do believe that every funeral should have a speaker that breaks the ice and makes you laugh because it is so
I
important to
know.
laugh, even if you're, especially, I think, especially if you're grieving, because the distraction, I learned as a mother, and I don't know if this is because Roseanne Barr just made me feel more comfortable to be relaxed as a mother on her show, Roseanne. She doesn't know this, but if
I
you're
love
listening,
that.
Roseanne,
I loved that show.
she made me feel like, you know, I could be relaxed as a mother and just make jokes and embarrass my kids a little bit. So what I realized as a mother, when my kids were like crying if they skinned their knee or if they fell down or if they were really upset about something, I would distract them with something and make them laugh. And they forgot about it. And I think that we could learn that in a lot of ways as adults, just I write about distraction in my book also because I feel like distraction is healthy. People are like, oh, I
Hmm.
procrastinate. I don't work hard enough. You know what? The distraction is a good thing. I say go for a walk. Do something that's going to completely distract you and then come back to it. I
Yeah.
find that that's really important.
Oh, absolutely. And another thing too that I'll do too, it's like if you're I don't cry a ton, but like sometimes if I'm like
Oh, you
just
need a good cry.
you do, and
Oh
I
yeah,
feel
I
like
notice that once in a while that if I don't cry in a while, I'm like, I need a daily dose of this sometimes,
you feel so much better because it releases just so much, and like when
Little
you
House on the Prairie used to do it for me.
yeah,
I
I
used
felt
to
so
get my
sad
daily dose of
yesterday. I
that.
couldn't
Did you?
cry, but I was able to express what I was
Oh
feeling in
really?
a
How?
vulnerable way to my friends, where I
Oh
was just
really?
like, this is what happened, and I feel really sad, and I'm like really heartbroken, and it made me
Talking it out,
sad.
man. It's very
And I
important.
woke up this morning like a new human. I had accepted that the door was closed, and
That's
that's
great.
why I always say if you're ever getting
Acceptance.
over
Acceptance.
something, like especially a breakup, you cannot leave that door ajar. If it's meant to be, it'll be knocked down, okay? You cannot leave that door ajar because when you do, you have this glimmer of hope, and the hope will keep you stuck, keep you grieving, keep it alive. When you kick that door shut, if somebody doesn't respond, that's what could happen to me. You move on. I remember I had a relationship years ago, like they were talking 13 years ago, it was a relationship. And when we broke up, I obviously thank God it didn't work out because couldn't imagine being married to that freaking man. Holy crap.
See that?
I was so sad and I kept holding on to hope and holding on to hope. And because of that, I didn't get over it for a really long time. It wasn't until I found out that he was dating this woman seriously and that 2 months later they had gotten married. It was the best thing ever. I like sent him a message and I was like, oh my God, I just heard you got married. I'm so happy for you. Because
Wow.
this person was like, oh, what if I'm
Amazing
alone
to go
forever?
from that other feeling to that feeling.
Well, but it was the best thing because it literally kicked that door shut.
Yes.
That was
Closure.
it. It
Closure.
locked it. And then, like 3 months later, and I hadn't met anyone in years because I was so closed off and so heartbroken. 3 months later, I meet the guy that sometimes I still think if I had met him today, we would have gotten married. But I was meant to meet him
Wow.
at that moment, and I never would have met him had I still been holding on to this douche.
Wow.
So you have to kick that door closed, and you cannot leave it open being like, well, what if we're meant to be? If you're meant to be,
Yeah.
that door will be jackhammered down.
You're right.
So it is better to shut the door, surrender, move
Yes.
on. And that is what
Closure
I
is
do.
very important. I
If
agree
it's
with
meant to
you.
be, you'll be. And here's the thing too. I have to tell you like a funny story. I need to tell you offline, but I'll kind of get into it a little bit. Um, there's this whole thing about can guys and girls be friends that have dated? Guys and girls, yes, can
Oh,
be
that
friends.
have
I have
dated?
so many guy friends and I love them. And I don't want to
I'm
fuck any of
friends
them.
with a lot of exes. Yeah.
So I agree. I had an ex from,
Could they? That's the difference.
well, that's
Could a
confusing.
man, because I know a woman could. I don't know if a man
A
could.
woman could always do it, right? As long as the emotions are gone. So I have an ex from
Right.
8 years ago, 8.5 years ago. And
I don't know if
love his
if
company.
your current boyfriend would be okay with that, but
Well, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so we had a conversation where I was like, "Hey, I love that we're friends. I love that like we never really stopped talking fully and like we're still connected and you're so great and blah blah blah." And he was like, "Well, yeah, it's like, it's easy to be your friend when I'm single, but like if I'm in a relationship, like I can't really like have you around because like you're intimidating." And they'll be like, "Oh, everyone loves her. Why?" It's just it puts me in an uncomfortable situation. That made me sad, but I also saw it from his perspective. And then I thought, well, wouldn't you find out quickly if the woman is batshit crazy and jealous? If like you brought her around me and she believed you that there's nothing going on, you actually would probably have a healthier relationship. And he goes, yeah, that's probably a good thing. But then I thought about on the flip side, I'm like, you know what? And I don't think my future person is going to be like, oh yeah, let's go over to your like almost billionaire ex private equity person's house that you're still friends with. It's probably best that unfortunately, and I love this guy so much as a friend that sometimes I looked at him and I said, I don't regret anything, but I wish I never dated you when we were just buddies because I lost him. And now I'm terrified to date anyone. I meet a man I love and I'm like, we should be friends. We don't want to go there because don't want to lose you forever.
I don't know if the camera's registering but in person, Madison is beautiful. Like
Oh,
stunning,
thank you.
stunning, really beautiful.
Oh,
So,
I don't
and
feel that beautiful
she's
these
very
days,
with
but
it.
thank
She's
you.
very with it. You're very with it.
Oh, thank
I
you.
mean, I've been impressed with you since I met you, and
Oh,
I
likewise.
thank you. I don't know why, but anyway,
You're like, Bitcoin, baby.
was that what it was? When you saw that I
You're
like
always like,
Bitcoin,
Bitcoin.
when you
Well,
saw I
there's
was
other things
smart,
we won't talk about on camera that I was like, yeah, I resonate with her.
yeah. I
We're
mean,
we're, we're the same people.
we can't talk about it on camera.
No,
It's that good.
I can't.
Oh, really? I don't. Now I have no idea what you're talking. Huh? Oh,
We stay unbiased.
there's certain things that you can't talk about.
Yeah. That's
But
what I was saying.
yeah, no, I know. But it's we're the same page. I resonated with you. Every time you say something online, I always like it. In fact, I like it before I even finish watching it
Oh,
because
well,
I
thank
know
you.
I'm going to resonate
I
with it.
just need like a million more of you. I just need to
You just
replicate
need a
you.
few. You don't need a lot of me.
Yeah.
You don't need a lot of people to like you. You just need, unless it's like for online stuff, in real life, you just need a few good friends. And that's not easy to find. This is late in life. Like usually people stick with people because they know them for a long time. That's not
School,
always a
college,
great thing.
childhood.
I do not do that. Just because I know someone for a long time, I don't have to, you could grow up out of somebody. I don't
I
have to be
agree.
friends with them.
Yeah.
But it's rare to find somebody later on in life and then become friends because you're already kind of set in your ways and you're kind of gelled. And, people are like not as
Yeah.
trusting when they get older, but I am trusting when I get older. Like my husband doesn't need a lot of friends. In fact, he doesn't want a lot of friends because he feels like it's too much work. He's already working. He's got a wife. He's got kids.
Quality over quantity.
Right.
And that's where the magic
Right.
lies.
But to me, I'm very social. I love a lot of friends, but then I have to start honing in on the ones that are in a very small circle
You do.
because I can't bring everybody over because my husband is not okay with a lot of people. He wants a
Especially
small
in our
circle.
industry.
Yeah, so he wants a small circle. He definitely is not friends with comics. He finds a lot of comics to be losers. He asks me all the time, he's like, why do you do this? He goes, I know I told you were funny, you should start stand up
Why do
15
you
years
do this?
into
You're
our
like,
marriage.
and it makes me happy.
Yeah, but he's like, it's such an insecurity for you to get on stage and make strangers laugh, especially if they're drunk. That's what he said. And then I said, he goes, am I not telling you you're pretty enough? I'm
Oh
like,
my God,
you're
that's
not telling me
hilarious.
that. Tell me more.
Yeah.
But he's like, you're so insecure. Why do you have to do that? Like he doesn't have that mindset.
I think it's about being insecure.
He didn't even tell anybody he did Mount Everest. Like I'm bragging about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't you brag about it online?
No shit.
He's like, because I did it for me. I'm like, well, fuck you, man.
I mean, he's got a
I
totally
need to
different mind. I'd be very impressive.
tell everybody that you told me you love me on Mount Everest. Because no, you share that shit. Your insecurity. He did not share it. I said,
God.
for Mother's Day, I want you to share that online. He goes, no, I don't need to. He goes, I got on top of the world. And I said, and he was the only one on the top, by the way. Nobody was there.
So he probably passed dead bodies on the way out, right?
Not probably. He did. It was a mind fuck. He was a cemetery, and then he lost oxygen.
Cemetery?
It was a cemetery. With live bodies, like not live bodies, but in
And they're
person.
frozen.
They're frozen. They're there for eternity. He goes joining them.
Eternity? Oh, they never rescued.
They cannot take them down. No one's taking them down.
Wait, what?
Yep, it's a cemetery. It's a graveyard.
Why? Because they
Anybody
can't get
wants
up
to know
there?
about Mount Everest, and I could not watch
They can't
anything
take
on
a
Everest until
helicopter?
afterwards. Not up there. The air is too thin, and they cause avalanches. That's it. They're done. No one's risking their lives with less oxygen.
They never decompose because they're frozen.
Right. I mean, their clothes are tethered, and there's a lot of tethered stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of snowdrift, so that you don't see the whole body. You see hands, you see arms, you see legs. I mean, it's a shame. Some of them have their cameras and their phones on them. You could really get their footage for them and send it to their loved ones. I'm like, you should have at least, pickpocketed to show it to the people that they loved.
So could he tell if they died recently or
No.
years ago? Because everybody's
if
preserved.
their clothes were tethered,
What does that mean?
like the hell the flag gets frayed.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
If you can see that. But yeah, it's a sick mind fuck because he lost oxygen and his Sherpa gave him his oxygen mask 10 minutes before going up. My husband found a very big spiritual awareness and connection.
I think there's a blessing in almost dying. And not enough of us experience it.
Oh yeah.
And that's
he
why
said that too.
You watch those near-death experience videos, and they are
yeah.
But I met somebody.
It's the death zone from Camp 4, which is already at 26,000 feet with no oxygen, practically, and then going up to 33 or 29,000 feet. That's 9 hours just to get there, just to walk up that thing, and then you have to come down. Coming down, he said, was harder than going up.
So, the tip of Mount Everest. How many feet are about miles till you hit space, till you leave the atmosphere?
I mean, you're already
so you're already in the stratosphere. So basically, a plane can't fly anywhere near that because it'll crash right in the mountain because it's so high. Because they only go in the stratosphere.
Right. Well, I think during 9/11, I think they had to go to 40,000.
So you're basically saying, if you put your hand up, you're basically almost in space. From Mount Everest.
I mean, it does.
That'd be an interesting fact.
Nickel and diming at this point. You don't know. It's just inches away from not having any oxygen.
I can't. Wow. Thank God he's home, and thank God he doesn't want to fucking do it again. Holy shit!
Of course, I would not. He's looking for another adventure in his life. Maybe
use one with
America.
oxygen.
Yeah, run across America 50 miles a day.
Oh my God.
I also won an ultra marathon. Thank you very much. You can read about it in
I can barely run at all, and I was a collegiate athlete. And I'm like, yeah, I always played sports, though. I
didn't. I have no background.
So you were just,
it was after I got
smoked
married.
for freaking years.
Yeah, I didn't smoke ever.
But I loved tennis, golf, and lacrosse. And in lacrosse, I played first home.
What school did you go to?
Well, not all those at college.
I didn't have any lacrosse.
It was in Colorado, but I played first home, which is by the goalie on the offense side. So I couldn't run past midfield. I wasn't allowed because I was attacked. So the rest went down. I really didn't even run to midfield. I was more like a short game, like behind the goal, blah, blah, blah. And I love that position because I didn't have to do a lot of running. So I was like, yeah, I was an athlete. Then when they just do the long runs, I'm like, I don't need this. They're like, yes, you do. I'm like, why?
It's so funny because I didn't have any athletic. I mean, I was doing aerobic classes and stuff, but I never had the stamina, the endurance that I have now. It's really amazing.
I get pains in my shins. I had stress fractures in college. That's what actually ended my.
I had a stress fracture on my 50-mile race. I came in top 10 in the nationals. I did it in under 9 hours, a 50-mile race. I did it with a stress fracture in my pelvis. I didn't know. Till afterwards.
It's just a
That's why it's mind over matter. It has to be.
I remember,
swimming in the oceans with sharks when I lived in Hawaii.
It's amazing.
But I was
so unaccomplished next to you.
I was a scared little kid in Brooklyn. I was afraid to cross the street. I was the last picked on any team, any sports team.
But you blossomed into your own.
Yes, I'm a late bloomer too.
Do you know what I realized? When in looking back on my athletic sports and career or whatever, I still play golf. I just brought my tennis racket back from Denver here because I'm like, I want to play tennis
Ron
more.
plays. Ron Barber. That's
Yeah.
funny.
So
You
I
know each
told
other.
him, I said, oh my God, guess what? I brought back my racket. I was like, this is no good in Denver. I need this here. So I brought that back so I could
Good for you.
hit because I was like, I want to start playing tennis more. Golf, I love.
You
But
like
like,
golf, and you also said something about golf, as far as business goes,
oh,
and
it's great.
meeting with people.
Yes, it's a great networking. You're stuck with these people for like 4 hours. You're drinking, you're having fun. It's a
Yeah.
great, and it's a skill that not everyone has. So it's like you can set yourself apart. And it's fun if you make it fun, which is why alcohol is used a lot on the golf course and cigars.
I love the smell of a good cigar.
It's the best.
You
But
know why?
lacrosse, I'm going to tell you this real quick before we move
Yeah.
on. Lacrosse, I was like decent. I could have been fucking phenomenal. My grandmother like fought for Title IX in Washington and started the first female. She basically fought for women's sports, and because of her and this team, like they created women's sports, like to be able to compete
What's
in high
going on now
school
is
and
insane.
right. So she was like the first lacrosse. She was like she's like in the lacrosse hall of fame at the high school she taught at.
Really
Like she was Miss Lacrosse. So I'm like, I have to.
impressive.
My grandma like started women's lacrosse basically in this country. Like I have to be able to play it. None of us were like all American, so we kind of let her down. But I was like you. Sports are a mindset. If I had had the confidence and the mindset I have today,
Yeah.
I would have destroyed.
Really.
I would have been so effing good, but I was so nervous and on a fear-based mentality. And what if I mess up? Or what if I get scared? Or what if I get
You're a
smacked in the
perfectionist.
face?
I'm noticing that.
Right. It's part of being a Virgo. So I didn't. So this is what I did. This was probably 7 years ago. I was visiting a friend in Darien, Connecticut, and we were walking from his house to a coffee shop. And we walked past this park, and there's like a girls lacrosse game going on. God, I miss those days. I wish I could tell those girls like enjoy this now, although it's hard getting up and running. And I would love to just go out and play again. It'd be so fun.
And
And so he was like, really, as a 36, 7-year-old woman? I go, yeah, totally. Or 36, I think I was at the time. No, I wasn't. This was like
you're
5 years
37
ago.
now?
No, I'm 41 now.
You are?
So, yeah, so I'm 41
I
now.
wasn't sure you want to talk about your age, but you look
Oh, I don't give a shit.
amazing.
Well, thank you. But we go to a lacrosse store, actually in Greenwich, because I was taking the train back. And I walk in, it's all these high school guys. And they're like, is this for your daughter? I'm like, no, bitch, this is for me. And I buy a lacrosse stick. I come back, I bring it back to the city. And I'm like, I'm going to find a women's league and play lacrosse. And so I go in, and my doorman, I lived in a dormant building at this time. They see the lacrosse stick and they're like, are you becoming a lesbian? I thought only lesbians played lacrosse. And I was like,
I heard that.
what? There was like their stupid joke living in New York. So I would go on the subway with my lacrosse stick and I would go up to Central Park, but we didn't have like an even field. So it was like we were playing on like this patched up grass. I mean, it could have been a disaster for an ankle sprain or whatever.
Jeez.
But we'd go and we'd throw and we'd hang out. And then there was like tournaments, and all of a sudden I'm just like, but it was really fun. And I would go when I could, but I wasn't going to travel with this team and pay for all this stuff.
Right.
But it was kind of really fun because like people would look at me like on the train and be like,
So I
"Is this
think you
woman
like
going to a lacrosse game?" I'm
you
like,
like
"Yes,
sports that have a game to it.
I like
You
sport."
like games.
You know, when I get a house and a backyard, I'm going to get one of those. They're called bounce pads for lacrosse, and like have my stick. This new stick I got in Greenwich in like 2017 or whatever, 2016. No, 2017. I have my bounce pad and my ball. And that way, like, I wish I could just go out and like just throw it because it goes back to you. But like, can't. Like, my brother still plays. My
When you
brother
go
still
back to
plays
Denver,
lacrosse,
you
like in a
do that
competitive,
when you
like
go
over
to
40 league.
really when you
Yeah.
go to Denver, you do that stuff in Denver.
Well, I remember I wanted to have my brother bring his bounce pad out so we could like play, and then I was going to throw with him, but
If there's
you
any
get
guys out there
busy.
that play lacrosse,
Not professionally though, because that means I'll have to pay your bills.
well, oh really? It's not a good job.
No money.
They mean,
I just want somebody. You don't have to play with us. You because I was like, wasn't like, you just have to know. You just want to know how to throw. I just need somebody to throw the ball to me. That's all. Just throw the ball back and forth.
she's the receiver.
That's why I'm like, maybe. I'm like, yeah, if I meet a guy with like kids that are like, younger, I would be like, I'd be like, I'm going to be a great stepmom. Only I'm a mindset coach, but also I can teach these little ladies how to play lacrosse, and be like, don't do what I did. Don't be fearful. But now they have the gates around your eyes. And the biggest fear for me was getting hit in the eye.
Oh,
So now they don't even have that. Like I would run right through action because if my eye can't get hurt, I don't care if you smack me in the face. What are you going to do? Hurt my nose? I don't care. It was my eyes that
yeah,
held
yeah,
me
yeah,
back.
yeah. So there's always something there's a fear. Fear is a 4-letter word, but anyway, it is good to have some fear. But the reason why I like cigars, getting back to that, is because I used to be.
It's lacrosse tangent.
No, it's okay. It's amazing. I remembered.
In our comedian with my sports, I clearly like athletic activities that involve balls and shafts. Tennis, golf, lacrosse.
That's funny.
I mean, it's true.
My yeah, you have a pattern. You're consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I like cigars, the smell of cigars, because I used to work in a jewelry store on Madison Avenue, and where I met my husband, and but he wasn't a smoker when I met him. But anyway, very big sales that I used to make were usually with men that were smoking cigars, and they would smoke in the store.
Yep.
At the time, you were allowed to, I think, smoke in the store, and it was in the 90s. And I'll tell you, that just associates. I like the smell of a cigar. I just do. A cigar bar. I remember going on a date to a cigar bar.
Go to Macanudos
Yes,
or whatever it's called.
I did.
I've been there. You have to wash everything the next day.
Yeah, but fun, it's fun. But yeah, so if you want to just plug anything that you did or wrap this up with.
I do have a question for you on the
Yeah.
cigars. Though. Would you ever let somebody stick a cigar in your vagina?
No.
I'm just curious. Monica Lewinsky did it, so I was just curious.
Did she?
Yes.
I never heard this.
Yeah, Bill Clinton put the cigar in her.
No, that is way too much.
No, where's this going?
Definitely
it's
not.
Presidential.
That's
the one
hilarious.
president that didn't get taken to court somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he put a cigar in her.
Okay,
in her hoo-ha.
All right.
Wait, what?
I never heard that.
Yeah.
That sounds sodomistic.
Well,
The word sodomistic.
Bill Clinton's a dirty old man.
Yeah.
He was a
To
dirty
say the
young man
least.
at that point, but
So-
she's got a handbag line, so.
Yeah, exactly. Where could people find you, and where could what do you want to start plugging?
So buy my book, my first self-help book, Time to Lighten the F Up or Fuck Up, with the asterisk. Check out my podcast, Next to Madison. You can follow me on social media at Real Madison Maloy. Just you can contact me if you want to be coached. I try to keep the dick jokes out of the coaching, but I've
Unless
worked with
you're
top
requesting them.
coaches, and all that. So if you want to have a clear mindset, build confidence, I need a relationships coach. So don't come to me about dating advice, but I can tell you what not to do because I've done it.
I'll be your relationship
Yeah,
coach.
exactly. So follow me there, and more books are coming out, and life is beautiful and amazing.
Any talks you're doing?
Not that I can announce yet.
Okay.
My book's coming out, but I can't announce them yet. But it's going to be fun.
You could reach me on Victoria Makes You Laugh, and on Instagram I actually have Wife's a Bitch podcast, and Impress Yourself on Amazon.
So important.
I'm promoting my comedy shows every Monday. I'm at the Perry Club, which is downtown, and then I have shows that I produce in Yonkers and also in New York. So if you want, follow me on Instagram, Victoria Makes You Laugh, and we're going to wrap this up with thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
I feel like we had such a fun, great conversation that just went.
That's the way it's supposed to go. And wife's a bitch, because you never know. Hey, listen, wife's a bitch if you're doing it right. Okay, that's
I want to be a wife. So any single men out there that are eligible meaning emotionally available.
Better than a dating website, right? If anybody's out there, Madison is available, and she's a great woman.
But she's extremely picky, so you might not pass it to us.
Well, you never know. You never know. If you're man enough, this woman is a lot of women. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Victoria.